Hey, everybody out there. This is Peter Lasowski, and I want to welcome you. You guys are pouring in here on the inaugural second run here for the story selling workshop. So I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, make sure everybody gets in the room here before we start our week number 1 of training. What you guys can do, you people that are on time, I really applaud you for that. If you could please go ahead in the chat box, just put in, yes, I can see and hear you. That would be great. And that way I know that we're all good to go before we get started with the training here for week 1. So just go ahead in the chat box, type in, yes, I can see and hear you. And we will get moving here in a couple minutes. I'm really, really excited to have you in here for this class. There's going to be a lot of things you're going to get out of this over the next 6 weeks. And by the time you get done with it, you should be a transformed individual on selling. At least I was when I did this several years ago. So that's why I put this course together for everybody else. So just go ahead and type in the chat box. Peter, you can say, yes, I can see and hear you. Great. Good. It's good to see you there, Alem. Michelle said, yes. I can see you, Jason. Yes, I can see and hear you. Great. That's good to see, guys. So Kelly from down in New Zealand. It's good to have you on, Kelly. We have people from all over the world here on this this training, and it's exciting to have everybody here. It's wonders of technology. So we're gonna get started here because I like to start things pretty close to being on time. It's about 6:02. We've got a lot to cover this one in this particular workshop. This is week 1. Before we get started, though, I want to just cover some of the housekeeping and things like that. So you have received, you should have received, and if you haven't, look in your inbox or your junk folder, but a few emails from me. Things we're going to do. Number one, you should have received a link with your login information to the Story Selling Workshop membership site. That has all of the different 6 modules for the 6 weeks with the homework and the audio that you can download if you want to put that on your iPod, your iPad, your iPhone, your Android, or burn onto a CD in your car. But the membership site is a place where you can go if you happen to miss a class live. And I encourage you to be on these live because we do Q&A at the very end so I can get your questions answered. But if you happen to miss one for whatever reason, I understand sometimes with family and situations like that, things get in the way. You can go to the membership site. You can catch up, okay? So that's there for you. You did receive, I sent it out to everybody that registered for the class. It's a paid registrant. You did receive a login email, password, and your link to get into that membership site. That's there for you. It's lifetime unlimited. So you can go in there as many times as you want, as often as you want, for as long as you want. The second thing is this time around, we are going, I also sent you an email where we have assigned team partners. So you have a particular team partner, and in that email, I put in your team partner's email as well as your email. So I would recommend that you go ahead and reach out to your team partner. Now, some of you, like I see Mark and Diana, you guys, or Deanna, I'm sorry, Mark and Deanna, you guys are partners because you're husband and wife, I believe. So you'll be team partners developing stories. But the rest of you that came in individually, you have a partner that's been assigned to you in the email. So look for that email. These will be people that you will be sharing your homework with every week, the stories that you create, and your team partner and you can do critiquing of each other's work. And that way you have someone that keeps you accountable to get your homework done and also helps you with the stories, okay? In the end, I'm going to give you my email address at crocbrand@gmail.com. If you have questions and things like that, you can certainly ask me. But I think for you guys to have a team partner, we're taking this. This is something that was suggested, and I think it's a great idea to have a team accountability partner to help you get through this course and get through the different stories that you'll be creating over the next 5 weeks of the 6 weeks, okay? So that's really housekeeping. Try to make sure you show up on time. We're going to be running this every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or whatever that time zone is in the world, wherever you're at, whether you're in Australia or New Zealand, or we have some people from European Union. So just kind of figure out based on California time, Pacific Standard Time, that's where I live, and we'll go from there. So that's really all of the initial housekeeping. I'm going to give you an overview in this workshop of what you're going to be covering over the next 6 weeks and what it looks like. Remember, though, for the homework assignments, everything is in the membership site. So you can go to week 1 through week 6. The homework sheets are in there. I've checked them. They're accurate. They're the right ones. You can go ahead, right-click, and download them and get your stories done. And in the homework sheets, by the way, the examples that I will be showing you, because every week, not only do we do the teaching and the formulas to create these stories, but I give you exact examples of what a written story would look like so that you have something to go off of. And that is in the PDF part of the homework sheet. So you have something as a reference point to write your own stories. Okay. So, and again, you can work with your team partners, as well as if you have a particular question, you can certainly either Facebook message me or email me at crocbrand@gmail.com, and I'll have that at the very end of the workshop as well. All right, so we're going to get moving here. Again, guys, I can't tell you how excited I am to have you in here. And again, over the 6 weeks, one thing I noticed in the last course, and by the way, this is the final time I'm offering the beta one. We're opening this up to an international audience around the world at a much higher price. But, I have a special place in my heart for all you guys, excuse me, that are in here. And I really want to help you learn how to tell stories to sell naturally. This is the most powerful way to sell, by understanding what we call the hero's journey. We're going to learn about that tonight, and also then creating stories to take each person through their hero's journey. We have people, from a lot of different things. A good majority of you are from Kangen Water, but we have people from consulting, from speaking, coaching, supplement products, contracting. So there's different, from what I can see here, there's different people that are in here, that benefits pretty much anything, whether you are telling stories to your kids or you're telling stories to sell your product, service, or opportunity. It's all good. Yeah, Mark says I can hear you coughing. Sorry about that, guys. I've had I did a lot of TV work the other day, and then I had a bunch of Skype meetings for people all over the world and things like that. So I apologize. My voice is a little bit dry. I'm drinking some water here, but yeah, it is a little bit tired. But it doesn't matter. We're going to keep moving here because I really am excited about getting this moving. Okay, so let's get moving. In this workshop, what you're going to be learning is and taking is a 6-week journey inside the mind of your customer. And this, guys, I tell people all the time, if you boil sales down, and I talk about this in my Croc Brain selling formula and the story selling blueprint formula here, selling, you have been fed a pack of lies. And selling is not about learning sales scripts and trial closings and objection handling. I'm going to have to ask you a question. Did you ever buy something where you posted a series of objections, they handled objections, basically beat you down to a point where you said, okay, I'll buy. I mean, it just doesn't happen that way. That's not how we buy. So really what happens in sales, selling is not, and again, what I want to tell you too is whatever you're selling, no matter what the price of the product is, this is an effective way to sell. But you have to remember, selling is a series of small commitments along the way. So like, for example, for you Kangen people, the selling is the initial interest in wanting to take a look at a piece of literature, or try the free trial of water, or go to a demo, or take a 3-way call. There's a series of small sales commitments a person makes to get to the point where they're actually going to say, yes, I will buy your product, service, or opportunity. Okay. It's also true if you're in direct sales, MLM. We have some multi-level marketing people, network marketing people in here. If you're looking for business builders and a business opportunity, the same thing is true. And all selling, I've found over the years, working myself and being mentored by a lot of masterful salespeople, is an internal inner mind battle between core doubt and core desire. That's all it is. Okay. Now, how do you handle that? That's what the story selling blueprint formula is all about, and taking them along this hero's journey to battle this core doubt versus core desire. And I'm going to explain that very clearly tonight to you. Okay. So this is where we want to go, is on this 6-week journey. And what you're going to learn to do is how to connect in a way that, number one, first you got to get their attention, right? You got to get their attention so that they're going to say, yeah, I'm interested. I'd like to take a little bit, take a look at what you have to offer, right? You have to get past that rejection aspect, or no thanks, I'm not interested, or no, get away from me. Depends on how radical it is. But, guys, here's the thing. If you just come up to somebody and say, just somebody on the street you don't even know, if you said, hey, let's say the guy you met, you introduce yourself and the guy's name is Bill, and say, hey, Bill, I've got a really interesting story to share. Would you like to hear it? Well, I'll tell you what, almost 10 times out of 10, the person like Bill is going to say, yeah, sure. Now, see, this is where I talk about selling has to be rejection free, and telling stories is rejection free. Okay. So that's how you get people's attention. But you also have to learn how to make connection, build that trust, okay? And there's a way to do that. We have a story for that. You also have to be able to build desire, massive desire. We have a story on how to build desire, build that massive desire. And then you have to tie it all up with inspiring action. And we have a story for that within the story selling formula. So we're going to be going through all of those things over the next 6 weeks. Now, what you're going to be doing is telling stories. This is what we have, we've always known how to do since we were a little kid. Guys, for some reason, when we were kids, we told great stories. We heard great stories. We listened to mom and dad tell us bedtime stories. And then we grew up to be adults and we somehow lost it. And guys, I'm telling you, the thing about it is that it's inside you. To be able to tell stories, to hear stories, to enjoy stories It's already in us. It's as natural as the dawn of man. It's almost built into our DNA. If you think about going all the way back to the cave people days, before they had written in verbal language, what were they doing? They were telling stories on the petroglyphs in the caves. Okay, this is something that we have done since the dawn of mankind. Okay, now I'm going to take it to a whole nother level here, because you guys, a lot of you know that hang out with me and things, you know that I'm into neuroscience and brain research. Well, I want to tell you something that's very fascinating and powerful. This was done by Princeton University. You guys know them, a very esteemed Ivy League school here in the United States of America. Princeton, the research part of the university, did a study in 2010, about 5 years ago, where they were using what's called EEG technology. It's electroencephalogram. That's the swimmer's cap with the conductive nodes that measures the neurotransmittic, the electrical impulses in your brain. Well, I call this the Vulcan mind meld. For you, some of you that are older, you remember the Star Trek days with Spock, right? And he used to put the fingers on the guy's brain and he'd read the brain. Well, what happened in this Princeton University research study is they hooked up two people. One person was telling a story, then the person was listening to the story. And what they found, it was very fascinating. And this just proves the point scientifically why stories are so powerful, is the fact that the storyteller and the story receiver, by measured EEG technology, had identical brainwave patterns. Okay. So if you guys are going, wow, you really should be, because what happens when you tell a person a story, you and them in your brains become one. Okay. This is why when you watch a movie that is a tearjerker, that you cry, when you watch a movie that's hilarious, you start laughing because you become the character. That's what this Princeton research study is all about. This is why storytelling is so powerful in communication and so powerful in sales. All right. Now, so I want you to see that stories are the most natural and powerful way to communicate and persuade since the dawn of man. We have always have used stories. If you look at the greatest leaders in the world, the best orators, the best speeches, you go back and look and start dissecting what they've done. It's a series of stories. Okay. Some of you can remember all the way back. Now, I was a little teeny kid in the 60s, but when Kennedy had delivered that great speech, I was just talking to somebody about energy policy today. When he delivered that great speech about we are going to put a man on the moon before the decade is over, he started NASA. That speech was a story, and that captivated the United States of America for a decade. And we had the Apollo series, and we put the man on the moon in 1969. You guys know the story. For some of you that are old enough, for you that are younger, you can look that up on the internet. But the thing is that stories are so natural, so powerful, and so easy to communicate. It is the absolute best way to sell. Okay. Now, and like I said, with the Princeton University study, now we have specific scientific proof of the power of stories. Now, I want to travel through this 6-week course now that I've established for you guys, and you really understand what you're sitting on top of here and how this is really going to benefit you individually and take your business to a whole new level in 2015. Okay, we're going to go through the 6-week the 6-week course to get a big picture of what you're going to learn. All right, so let's walk through that right now. So week number 1, this is where we're at this week. We're going to have, it's called Finding Your Heroes, okay? And what this is you're going to learn this week about what's called the 4 R's of selling. And that is delivering the right message to the right person at the right place at the right time. That's the 4 R's, right? Message to the right person at the right place at the right time. You're also going to learn about core desires and really what drives people in their inner dialogue. You all have these core desires too, and I'm going to talk about how you uncover a person's core desire or desires. We're going to go through the hero's journey because this is very, very important. This was done by a fellow named Joseph Campbell. I'm going to talk about that, but we're going to go through the hero's journey, have a little fun tonight in terms of the movie Star Wars. Okay, a lot of you, Star Wars by George Lucas is the landmark film. Pretty much everybody in the world has seen Star Wars, and so we're going to use Star Wars as the story selling theme to take you through the hero's journey so you really understand the power of what's going on here. And then we're going to identify what's called your angel avatars, which are your heroes. These are your ideal clients or customers, and we'll go through that tonight too. Okay. Week 1 outcome, we're going to get a clear understanding of your ideal customer or client. And like I said, we call them angel avatars. And you're going to have 7 questions that are your homework tonight or your homework this week that you're going to be answering to uncover and define a particular angel avatar for your product, service, or opportunity. Okay. Week 2, we're going to work on getting their attention. Now, week 2 teachings, I'm going to cover the whole brain science of inner dialogue. What is actually going on in the brain, and from a scientific standpoint, a neuroscience standpoint, and this inner dialogue, and how do you access that inner dialogue with your stories to create, number 1, brain interrupters that get their attention, and also tell a story about a person like them. So it's highly relatable, so that when you're done, they go, you know, that person is just like me. And we call that your sales magnet story. This is your first story of a series of stories you're going to have in your arsenal that you're going to be able to develop. Now, by the way, you're going to have multiple sales stories. And really, as you learn this and you get really good at it, you're going to be able to create these stories on the fly. We're going to do it first pass here in the workshop, where you're going to have your first set of stories. And, you know, like anything, just going back to when you were a kid and you started riding a bike. It's a little bit difficult at first, but you're going to get the hang of it. And after you work it and try it a little bit more, even students that took the first course before you here a few weeks ago, they're already starting to develop stories on the fly, and they're having a lot of fun with it, and really growing their business. So this is our week 2. This is our sales magnet. The sales magnet story is a story about a person like them, the prospect you're talking to. Then in week 3, you're going to call them to adventure. Now, week 3, we're going to teach you how to define them in their ordinary world, and introduce what we call a daily life shift. When I talk about that, defining their ordinary world, and you'll see in the hero's journey here, is everybody has their ordinary world. Here's an example. You know, let's say Jim gets up in the morning, has breakfast with his wife and kids, his coffee, his toast, his eggs. His wife and him work. So they kiss each other goodbye. He jumps in his car. He goes to work. He works all day at his job. All the stresses, all the tasks being ripped in 50 different directions. Then Jim comes home. He sits down with his family, has dinner with his wife. He has a drink. He sits in front of the couch, in front of the TV on the couch. He watches TV for a while till he falls asleep. He goes to bed. He wakes up and he does it all over again. Okay. That's an ordinary world, right? So, but Jim has a longing. There's something in his life that he wants different. And we all have these. You guys all had that or have it because you wouldn't be in the business you're in. And some of you are in King and Water. You wouldn't have decided to join King and Water as an opportunity if you didn't have a core desire for some type of better life or better health. Okay. So here's the thing is, this is week 3 teaching. This is the call to adventure. And we call this your Herald story. What makes this different from a sales magnet story is this is a story about you. This is your story. This is your struggle, your discovery, the result you achieved, the emotion that you put into it to show vulnerability. This is really gets them to connect with you, where they can relate to you because you're being vulnerable and you're telling a story about yourself. Okay. So that's week 3 outcome, is developing your Herald story. Then in week 4, we're going to build desire. And how we do that is you probably recognize these 2 guys, the Mythbuster guys, if you ever watched that show. And in what we are is we're going to become classic Mythbusters. Okay. Everyone is going through a particular struggle, but you have to, in order for you not to have a product that's perceived as a commodity. You guys ever had this situation where someone says, hey, how much does your product cost? Right? Before you even get to tell them about anything about the product. You ever had that happen? A lot of you probably, if you do, go ahead and put in the chat box, yes, I have, because I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you where, people are looking at price. The problem is because you're viewed and perceived as a commodity. So you have to be viewed as a myth buster. You create a new truth. And by creating a new truth, what you're doing is you're revealing to these people the lies that they've been told. For you guys in King and Water, the lies is that, here's one, that bottled water is healthy for you. You guys all know, you're probably chuckling out there because you know that that's a big lie. And there's a lot of bottled water that's very unhealthy for you. So, but why you're doing that in this week 4, this story you're creating, is because you are creating a price and value disassociation. Why do you want to do that? Because they have nothing then to base your product on. Okay. I hope you guys are realizing that, like, this is pure genius for them. When you start creating a new truth and creating a new value, then the price of your product suddenly does not become as much of an issue because they have nothing to judge it against. If you don't do that, you're going to be commoditized, and the perceived value is whatever their perception is in their own head that you cannot control. So you're no different than when you go to the grocery store and buy a roll of toilet paper, a tube of toothpaste, or any commodity item. You know as well as I do, if it's a commodity, you shop for the best price. Very rarely do people shop for the highest price based on brand. Okay, so knowing that that's the case, we have to deal with that. We got to create a story around that. And that particular story is your transformation story. This is the discovery process that the people go through in this storytelling process. Because I got to tell you guys, I'm going to tell you another truth, maybe a lie that you've been told. And that is, you cannot sell anything to anybody. You have to create a discovery process so they will buy. Okay. And this is what we're doing, is we're helping them through this discovery process so that they will buy. Okay. Because there is no such thing as selling something to somebody. Okay. You cannot push something down somebody's throat. You don't like that, nor does anybody else that you talk to like that. But you create this buying frenzy, this discovery process that makes it easy for them to discover what you have to offer. You create that connection with your product, service, or opportunity with that discovery process. And now you're creating a very powerful, highly desirable buying experience. Okay. Then in week 5, you're going to inspire them to buy. In these week 5 teachings, we're going to talk about status and opportunity. We're going to talk about what's called the sales conversion zone. We're going to talk about this ownership and experience. We know now from neuroscience and brain research that people take a mental possession of a product before they take a physical possession. In other words, pull out their credit card or their checkbook and buy something. You're the same way. So we have to create this whole experience for them, this ownership experience, so that they will take mental possession of the product prior to taking physical possession. And we call that the ownership blueprint story, or the ownership story. And I have this innermost cave because people in this particular one, you have to get them through, and we'll talk about this here in just a moment in the hero's journey. You've got to get them past what we call the death fight of the gladiator, and that is a fight between core doubt, the what ifs, versus core desire, the if I could just have. So you want that core desire to conquer. The ownership story helps seal that deal during the discovery process to aid in that buying for that particular individual to get out of that innermost cave and what we call seize the elixir, which is your product, service, or opportunity. Okay. Then in week 6, the key thing is you want to inspire them to buy now, not tomorrow, not next month, not next year, but now. If you have found your ideal clients, your angel avatars, they will be ready to buy now. So it's a matter of finding those right people, taking them through the hero's journey, telling them these different stories to create this buying experience and create the urgency that I'm going to show you how to do in week 6 to get them to buy now. Sound pretty cool, right? So in week 6, you're going to create a buying frenzy. You're going to use some tactics that I'll teach you, like feel found method. You're going to appeal to their different emotions. You're going to give them reasons to buy now. You're going to do price and value metaphors, and I'm going to teach you how to do all that. You're going to use bonuses to build value. You're going to overcome buyer's remorse. You ever had buyer's remorse where you bought something you thought, I don't know, maybe I made a mistake. I shouldn't have bought them. But most importantly, you're going to create that urgency to get them to buy now. Okay. Now, I know this sounds like a lot, guys, and I'm just giving you an overview. So if you're a little overwhelmed right now, don't worry about it, because we're going to be going through this stuff in detail, in great detail every week. You're going to get a chance to do your homework. You're going to be able to work with your team partner that you were assigned, and everything's going to be fine. Once you, the students that came through this before you, when they got all done, they were like, okay, this all makes sense. All the puzzle, excuse me, all the puzzle pieces fit together, and everything was fine. And they finally, you know, all the light bulbs clicked on. So I'm pretty confident that's going to happen for you guys here today too, as well, as you go through this 6-week course. The key thing is do your best to show up live on these webinars so that you can get the benefit of that. All right, let's go to the next one. This week 6 is what we call build a crushing offer. And this is where you're going to create your elixir. Your elixir is the product, service, or opportunity. Could be you're looking for business builders in your direct sales opportunity. Could be the product you're selling, but you're building this crushing offer for them to really possess. Okay. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to move on to, now that we've done the overview of the course, that's the 6 weeks. We're going to move on to week 1, which is called Finding Your Heroes. This is what you're here for this first week in the story selling blueprint formula workshop. Okay. Now, first thing I want you to understand is you must rise above the market noise. Now, guys, if you look at the latest research, we are hit with somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 messages a day. So if you don't want to be lost in the noise, you got to rise above it. So how do you do that? Is you do that by delivering this right message to the right people at the right location at the right time. That right message is a story. Okay. That's going to help get their attention so that you can talk to them. So this week, we're going to be focusing on finding the first step in those 4 R's is the right people and taking them on their journey. Okay. We call this Finding Your Heroes, and they go on what's called their hero's journey. Now, this is a 3-step process of discovery. Okay. To find your heroes, find your angel avatars, or what we call your ideal clients or customers. It's a 3-step process, okay? Step number 1 is you first have to identify that particular person or the group of people you're going after, their core desires, okay? Now, typically core desires, they fall into one of 10 categories, and they have a condition attached. I'm going to explain both of these. So again, they fall into one of 10 categories, and they have a condition attached. I'll give you some examples. Now, the 10 categories of core desires, and I'll go through and define these, are number 1, liberty. Liberty is based on not so much money, but it's based on being able to, I want to do what I want, where I want, when I want. I want the freedom of movement and time. People who want to have multiple households in different places and locations, their core desire, primary core desire is liberty. Legacy is about doing something significant in this world where you're leaving a legacy behind, okay? It could be as simple as raising your children in a way where they're going to grow up and be good citizens or good community members, okay? That's leaving a legacy, okay? It could be a lot bigger. It could be, I'm going to create a technology in this world that's going to change the face of the earth. Or I'm going to, like Abraham Lincoln, I'm going to free the slaves. And, it was a very bloody war, but he left a legacy of freedom in this country for people in the United States of America. So that's really a core desire of legacy. Financial independence is kind of like liberty, more about money. I want to have the money I need to be able to not ever have to worry about money again and to be wealthy. Now, a lot of times that's tied in with liberty because people want to be able to, do what they want, where they want, when they want, and they have the money to do it. But financial independence has a little bit more of a money focus than liberty does. I'm not saying that money focus is bad. I'm just saying that's a core desire, okay? Then you have recognition. We call it recognition for creative expression. These are people who like to be at the center of attention. They're typically a lot of people who do like live events, seminars, coaching, speaking engagements. Their core desire is recognition for creative expression. Actors, actresses, people in the limelight, people who are famous, they have a core desire of recognition for creative expression, even though they say, well, we're so tired of the paparazzis coming after us. They love it. And this is one of their core desires. And again, there's no judgment, good or bad here. I'm just telling you that's one of the desires that people have. Autonomy is I want to be able to have freedom of movement and freedom of expression and freedom of thought without the oppression of things like the government. So people who want true autonomy, the extreme is the people who go off the grid, right? They want to have so much autonomy that they don't even want to be tied into any governmental systems, any money systems, any utility systems. They're living off the land. They're going off the grid. Those are people who have a high core desire for autonomy. Knowledge, people who have a core desire for knowledge. Well, you know the type. I mean, scientists, engineers, that's their currency. They love to gain new knowledge. They love to be in the know. They love to share their knowledge with others. So those are people that are driven. Core desire is knowledge. Security is people who want to be able to not have to take risks. They like to have a secure lifestyle. They like to be in the known. In other words, people who have a core desire of security, it's very tough to take them on a hero's journey into the unknown because they don't like that. They're going to be what's called a reluctant hero because they like the security of knowing exactly. They have a, if you ever, not obsessive compulsive, but they typically have a, very detailed to-do list. They have a daily routine. They have a way they lay out their clothes. They have a way that they, if you're one of those people that, color code your clothes in the closet, and you have your shoes a certain way, it's all because there's a control and security aspect, and that's your high core desire. So if some of you are laughing out there, well, then you know that your core desire is security. People, health is another one, especially people, you guys, people in King and Water here, if you run into people who have health issues like, diabetes, fibromyalgia, cancers, acid reflux. Well, guess what? Health might be their core desire now because, they're not healthy and they know the risks of not being healthy. Okay. So that could be a one. Adventure. These are people, these are adrenaline junkies, people that like to do bungee jumping and skydiving and all that kind of stuff. Their core desire is give me the next adventure. I want to travel. I want to, push the limit. I want to pump the adrenaline into my body. These are adventure core desire people. And then creativity. These are people who just, their desire is just to be creative and do things. People in the arts, people in crafts, people in product development. One of my core desires is creativity. I love to create. I love to create new products and new things that can help the world. So again, these are the 10 core desires. These are the ones that you have to look at. So the big question now is, how do you find out about a person's core desires? Well, you do that by asking questions, and here's how you do it. Like I said, you're working within a core desire category, like I said, from liberty all the way down, and condition. So here's an example. Let's say a person has a category of health, but the condition is type 2 diabetes. So for you guys that are in King and Water, the thing about it is you might want to ask this question. Well, as it relates to your type 2 diabetes, when you're talking to a person, you say, if I were to ask you to finish the sentence, if I could just, what would you say? Whatever they say after that is the key to their core desire. If they say, well, if I could just, minimize the number of insulin shots or quit taking this insulin, or if I could just because guys, if you know anything about diabetes, a lot of people have extreme pain because of the nerve conditions that diabetes cause. If I could just eliminate this pain that I'm getting from my diabetes, it would just give me, a little bit of rest. Okay. So that is the core desire is health. The category is the type 2 diabetes. And now you know where to go. So that's step one. Okay. So their core desires is what they long for. As a result, they want to achieve. And what you have to do is tie that to your product, service, or opportunity. Okay. So here's the thing, the key thing to remember and understand is while they are aware of the desire that they have, this longing that they want to do, they're cloudy about the solution. So guess what? You become the herald. And I'm going to explain this in the hero's journey. So to get to that solution or end result, they've got to go on a journey. And this is what I'm going to explain to you. So now step 2, we got to take them through their inner battle. Okay. And I talked about the Princeton University study and about telling stories and connecting by brainwave pattern and talking about your product, service, or opportunity as that connection to their core desire. Now, we call this inner battle that they're going through between core doubt and core desire. We call this their hero's journey. Now, this particular guy, I don't know if you recognize him or not, but this guy, this is Joseph Campbell, okay? Joseph Campbell passed away in 1987. I was introduced to him in 1984, I believe. But he went around the world and he was a Columbia University professor and a scholar, but he spent his whole life really trying to understand why there's all these connections between all these myths and stories throughout all these cultures and histories of time. Well, what he found out is the common denominator, which he coined, was this thing called the hero's journey. And he created this. And this is really what goes on in all conditions in life. I don't care whether it is you finding a new job, going through a divorce, getting married, having a baby, whatever it is, including buying your product, service, or opportunity. People are going through a hero's journey. We are all going through multiple hero's journeys at any given time in our life. So we start up here, and we'll go through this as it relates to Star Wars so you can really get an understanding of this. But this is you up here, and you're living in your known life, like I talked about. So you have some kind of a herald, a supernatural aid that calls you to adventure, and you go across the threshold of no, and you're into the unknown, and now you get into here where you have helpers and mentors and things like that. You have a lot of challenges, things to learn. You finally go into this, what we call the abyss and death in reverse. This is the innermost cave where you are battling it out between core doubt and core desire. You go through this transformation process. You come back through atonement where you've seized the elixir, you become a new person, and you return back to community with this huge passion that you want to share this elixir with others. You guys did this, especially you guys that are in Kangen Water. You guys did this when you discovered Kangen Water and everything it could do, and you came back with a passion. You wanted to share it with everybody. You went through that same hero's journey, okay? So just to show you how significant this hero's journey is, you might recognize this guy. This is George Lucas. You see over there is C-3PO. But basically, George Lucas got to know Joseph Campbell before he passed away. You remember the first Star Wars came out in the late 70s. George Lucas actually, the way, and you can watch this on YouTube if you want, but George Lucas went to one of Joseph Campbell's Lifetime Achievement Award ceremonies and basically stood up. This was before he passed away. And he stood up and talked about the fact that when he was writing Star Wars, he was really struggling with the script and the trilogy. And he said a friend introduced him to Joe. He called him Joe Campbell. So he introduced him to Joe Campbell, and basically he introduced him to his book, A Hero with a Thousand Faces. He read the book, and what he said when he was standing up there in front of the audience and talking, he said, if it wasn't for Joseph Campbell and reading that book, now this was like 6 or 7 years later, he said, I would still be writing Star Wars to this day. So this is how significant the hero's journey. And you guys know the blockbuster that Star Wars is. And now they're coming out with a new Star Wars movie. And you know what this did for George Lucas in his career. And this happens. You'll see once you go through the whole hero's journey, you're going to see this all over the place. All great movies, all great books, and now in great selling as selling tools, taking a person through their hero's journey by telling stories is the most powerful way to sell. Okay, and I'm gonna show that to you. So what you want to do is what George Lucas did is he told a story of adventure, but that story was centered around Luke Skywalker, right, with his friends, reflecting Luke's own inner fear and battles, his core desires, and his struggle to achieve a new result or outcome. Now, you remember in the movie, if you can remember that far back, he wanted to become a Jedi Knight. So what I'm going to do, this is Luke. You guys remember him where he, it opens in the movie on planet Tatooine, and he's out there. And I'm going to share with you now the hero's journey here from known to unknown and going through this in terms of Star Wars and Luke Skywalker. So you can kind of see how this all works together. And I'm going to show you then how it relates to the stories you're going to create and selling. Okay, so let's start off with the story. You see up here, this is Luke over here. He's in his known world, right? you remember in the movie, right? He's out there on planet Tatooine. He's got his speeder. He's working on the robots, and he's helping his aunt and uncle. He's doing farming with his uncle, right, out on this planet, this remote satellite planet, right? And so he's doing his thing, and they, when he's out running around, they pan up to the Death Star, right? And Princess Leia gets captured with C-3PO and R2-D2, right? So R2-D2 and C-3PO get sold to, remember, the little short people that come down to planet Tatooine, and before they get separated, Princess Leia implants that hologramic message to Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? So Luke Skywalker and his uncle, right? They're there with the little sand people, and they buy C-3PO and R2-D2. Luke takes him back to his workshop, and he uses his tool, and he pops open the front plate on R2-D2. That's this guy over here. If you don't remember, the little robot here. This is C-3PO, the golden guy. But he pops open this thing, and here's this message from Princess Leia, which is saying, Obi-Wan Kenobi, we need your help. The dark side of the Force is rising. They're going to take over the universe, that kind of thing, right? So he sees this message. Well, at night at dinner, he's talking to his aunt and uncle. He goes, I opened this robot up, and there was this message from this lady here, this Princess Leia, and she was talking about this Obi-Wan Kenobi. He goes, I wonder if it's that old Ben Kenobi up on the north side of the planet. Well, the father knows, this is before it's all revealed, but the uncle knows that Darth Vader is his father, and who Obi-Wan Kenobi is, which is Ben Kenobi. And he goes, no, he plays it down. He goes, no, it's not that guy. You just drop it, get that out of your head. You got farming to do with me. So that's all dropped, right? Well, the next day, right, they show him out there. He's out in the speeders out on the north side of the planet, and these big sand people come and they attack C-3PO, R2-D2, and Luke Skywalker, right? Now, he's still in his known, right? He's still there on planet Tatooine. He's still running around in his known world here. So right before he gets whacked on the head with this big, huge, and again, guys, once I tell you the story, you should go back and watch Star Wars, because you'll never watch a movie the same again now that you are understanding, the whole hero's journey and the power of these stories, right? So going back to the story, right? Luke Skywalker is on the ground. He's about ready to get pummeled and killed by this big sand person guy. Well, who appears is this guy over here, Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Ben Kenobi, and he saves Luke, right? And the sand people take off, and Luke, tells him, he shows him this hologram that is Princess Leia. And he says, do you understand what this is talking about? And this is when then Obi-Wan Kenobi becomes the herald. He says, Luke, he says, that's Princess Leia. The dark side, the Force is in trouble. You've got to join and become a Jedi Knight. So he becomes the herald. He gives them a call to adventure. No different than what you're going to do when you call people to adventure from their ordinary world towards the unknown, to go on this journey with you towards a sale of a product, right? So what Obi-Wan Kenobi does is he calls him on to adventure to cross this threshold here of no. Okay. Now, remember in the story what happens, Luke goes, well, I have to be here. The crops are coming due. He's called a reluctant hero. So he takes off, leaves, Ben Kenobi behind. He goes back on his speeder, right? And he's coming over the horizon, and he sees all this smoke. Again, watch the movie. You'll see all this stuff when I'm explaining here. But he sees all this smoke, and he goes, holy smokes, what's going on? Well, as he comes up, he sees that his house is on fire and is burning. He looks over to the right, and he sees his uncle barbecued on the ground. And that's when he becomes the angry character. And he says, all right, that's it. I'm going to join the Force. I'm going to become a Jedi Knight, and I'm going to avenge my uncle's death, right? He becomes the vengeful archetype, right? So right there is when he crosses that threshold of no. So what does he do? He takes off in the spaceship, and he meets this little dude. You remember him, right? He's Yoda. Yoda is the wizard. Now you go from herald to wizard, because now you're going to become the teacher and mentor in sales, just like Yoda. Well, Yoda, remember what they do? They go through all this training. They have the ball that whacks him in the head, and he has to go raise his spaceship. If you remember in the movie, right, when Luke landed on planet Dagobah, he lands in this dark swamp, and he's standing in this dark water. He can't see the bottom, and there's this serpent creature. What that's almost a literal metaphor of Luke's fear. Okay, this is his fear of the unknown, which is the exact fear of the unknown. You know, this is what goes on. The people you're going to be taken through when you're telling these stories, they're afraid of being taken advantage of, or they're afraid that what if this business opportunity doesn't work and I become humiliated in front of my family. This is exactly what they're going through. Is the same thing that Luke goes through when he has to face his fear and he was in the swamp. So then he gets taught by Yoda. He starts learning. He starts going through these challenges, okay? And he starts becoming a Jedi Knight, right? Then he heads over to the Death Star, right? He says he takes off. Yoda doesn't think he's ready, but he says, "Yeah, I'm ready. I can go vanquish Darth." And he goes into this fight, right? And he starts the fight, and you see here in this picture, Darth Vader he's tempting him. Come to the dark side. Be with me. Now he doesn't know he's his father yet, right? We'll be the most powerful duo in the universe, right? So and Luke says, "No, never. I'm never going to go." And basically, they duke it out. They have this huge death fight. This is where Luke goes into the innermost cave where he's fighting Darth Vader. Darth Vader is the metaphor representation of everything that Luke is afraid of, everything that he doubts, all his fears. This is the innermost cave, or we call the death fight of the gladiator, right? And you got in there, you have the temptors, right? This is the Emperor. Remember, the Emperor is sitting over on his chair, and when Darth Vader's down, the Emperor's going, kill him. You know, and Luke is conflicted. This confliction is the buyer's remorse. But finally, Darth Vader takes off his helmet and he reveals to him, Luke, I'm your father, right? And so Luke goes, okay, I can't kill him. He's not evil. He's my dad. So he goes through this transformation process right here. And by discovering, he's going through this atonement and this discovery process. He's starting to seize the elixir to return as a Jedi, right? So he's going through this whole process, and by not killing Darth Vader, he vanquished his fears, but he did not kill his father. He goes through this transformation process, and through that, then he goes through atonement, and he comes back up here, and he returns with his friends as a Jedi in the community, right? And then they have the other movies. But you see how this all works is this is the exact same process, and I'm going to show you. This is the process. Excuse me. Take a drink of water. This is the exact same process that your prospective customer goes through, just like Luke Skywalker had to go through. You first are the herald, then you become the wizard, then you have to help your prospects get through their challenges, the temptations, their innermost cave, that death fight, to come out the other side to seize your elixir, which is your product. Your elixir, what? For Kanan, is the water. The elixir is the machine that makes the water, right? That is what you're doing. Now, guys, you may be thinking, wow, this is really out there. But I'm telling you, this has been used over and over and over. And I'm going to show you just how powerful it is. The hero's journey is everywhere. If you recognize these movies, you go back and watch them. You're going to see the hero's journey. In fact, Christopher Vogler, one of the most famous screenplay writers, in 1979, he wrote a huge treatment on using Joseph Campbell's hero's journey in script writing for movies. He's one of the most famous screenplay writers, but you'll recognize movies that use the hero's journey. Finding Nemo. Remember, the fish goes out in the ocean, has a big journey, and goes into the big unknown, right? The bottom of the sea and all the things that happen, right? He has to go find his son that was taken. Wizard of Oz. You guys know the Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz. Dorothy is Luke Skywalker, right? And guess what? That journey into the unknown is literally represented by the yellow brick road. She meets these different characters who are the wizards, she meets the wizard, which is the literal wizard, right? He is the teacher, but then she has helpers and mentors. That's the Cowardly Lion, the Scarecrow, and the Tin Man, right? So these are people that go along on the journey, and she has to go all the way and she has to vanquish the witch, right? And that is her innermost battle of the cave, right? So the witch represents her deepest doubts and fears, right? Harry Potter, right? Same thing, right? He has to vanquish the evil guy, right? He goes through all his trials and tribulations. Casablanca, for you guys that are old enough to remember it. Casablanca is another hero's journey. Toy Story, another hero's journey. Tron, another hero's journey. The Matrix. If you go, whatever movie you guys go, like any big blockbuster movie, they all use the hero's journey. The books use it. And again, guys, the thing is this stuff works. This is why you want to take people through their own hero's journey, because all these movie people are doing is they're making millions and billions of dollars by bringing you in and connecting you to become the character, but they are connecting with that inner dialogue of your doubts and fears versus your core desire. And you connect with these characters through that movie and your inner dialogue. This is why you guys love to watch movies, why I love to watch movies, why you love to read books. It's not just entertainment, because you are becoming the character. You are going through that hero's journey with the character. That's why you want to do this in sales, okay? I hope you're starting to see the power of what we have here, okay? So in this whole thing, this is where you're going to be going through. So this is your prospect over here. You're going to start first. We're over here in week 1. We're going to be creating this angel avatar in the sales sense. Then in week 2, we create this story about a person like them, the sales magnet story. Then over here in week 3, you become the herald, and you tell them a story about you and your emotional struggles and your discovery and the result that you got with your product, service, or opportunity. Then in week 4, we go through this transformation story like I talked about, where you now are a wizard and teacher, and you're taking them through this discovery process. And then they're going through this innermost cave, this death and rebirth. You are helping them in week 5 with this ownership blueprint story. And finally, in week 6, they seize the sword. This is building the crushing offer to get your elixir, which is your product, service, or opportunity. So you see how this works is it works the same way in sales as it does in movies, as it does in great books, all throughout time, okay? This is the discovery that Joseph Campbell was talking about. This is how powerful this is. This is why sales scripts, trial closings, and objection handling is a bunch of garbage and doesn't work. This stuff works because it is almost connected to a person's DNA. We have had stories for as long as we've been on this earth, okay? So with that, I want to go with what's been around the longest, all right? So step number 3 now is what I'm teaching here is in this week is finding your heroes. These are what we call your angel avatars, who you're gonna take on this hero's journey, okay? So first I want to start with understanding the difference between a prospect and possibility, so you guys get that. I've talked about this and some of you may have heard this before, some not. But I'm going to tell you, first of all, you cannot sell anything to a possibility, only a prospect. How do you know a difference between a possibility and a prospect? A possibility is someone who says they are interested in what you have to offer. A prospect is when you ask them, why are you interested? This is why when I teach in sales, always ask the question, well, like if you're doing Kangen water, why do you want to try this water? Can you help me understand what is it that's causing you to want to try this? Understand why. When you understand the why, you're also going to uncover their core desire. So you understand their why, you understand their core desire. They are now a prospect, and you can sell to a prospect. You cannot sell to a possibility. Most of you in the past have been only selling to possibilities. This is why you're not getting sales conversions and why you're struggling, okay? So if you're struggling and you're not converting, look at who you're selling to. If you don't know why, you don't know their core desires based on what I'm teaching you here, and you haven't identified that ideal angel avatar to go after, you are really in an uphill battle. It is so much easier when you find your heroes and you understand their core desires and your whys, you turn them into a prospect. It's almost like they're chasing after you. Have you ever had a prospect you've worked with where you sold your product to where they actually chased after you and they were grateful? Well, think back to what it was about them. They were an angel avatar and they were a prospect, and it was very easy to walk them through the discovery process of buying. So you just became the herald and the wizard, right? You became Ben Kenobi and Yoda. That's really who you are when you are selling. You do not have to be Zig Ziglar. You do not have to be Brian Tracy. Be Ben Kenobi and Yoda. That's really the easiest way to do it. Help them through the discovery process of buying. Okay, now I want to discuss your angels versus your devils. And I call this attract the angels and repel the devils. Now, when I talk about devils, just to make sure we're clear on this, I'm not talking about the people are actual devils or they're satanic or evil. I'm talking about these are people who you do not want to attract or you do not want to go after because they're not worth your time. And I'm going to define, let's first define these devils, okay? But you attract these angels, you repel the devils, and then what you're doing is you're building stories to connect with the angels' inner dialogue and core desires. Like I said, I'm going to read this statement one more time because this is super powerful that you get this, okay? So you have to attract the angels, repel the devils, and build stories to connect with the angels' inner dialogue and core desires. That's what we're going to do here. Once you find your angels, you find your heroes, you are telling them these stories, okay, and aiding them through the discovery process of buying. This is a huge shift I hope you're seeing for you, but it makes that process of increasing your sales commissions or your business revenue so much easier, okay? Now, you do this through your product or service that delivers the result. So you're going to go, if you do that, if you're able to tell stories and connect to your product or service that delivers the result of their core desire, you're going to go a long ways towards success, okay? And I'm here to tell you guys, and this, I used to do this all the time when I was inexperienced in sales. And some of you may be doing this right now. So I'm telling you, don't do it anymore. Quit talking to them about facts and figures and all of the things that will help them. Like, especially if you're in like doing health related products, quit talking to them about all the health related facts and figures because no one initially buys on facts and figures. They don't. What they buy on is the way it makes them feel and the result they perceive they're going to get. That's where you should focus, okay? This is why we tell these stories, because it connects with the way they feel and the result they perceive they're going to get, okay? But here's the thing. Before you do that, you really have to understand who is that ideal customer. We call that the ideal avatar, who's your angel or your angel avatar. But you know, we had a couple people that got hung up on the angel avatar last class. The angel avatar is nothing more than, like I said, it is your ideal customer or client. That's all that person is. We just call them your angel avatar, okay? Now, to do that, you got to first know who you're going to repel. Who are your devils, okay? So I'm going to give you some characteristics so you understand what a devil looks like. These are the people that you do not want to attract, that if you start hearing these certain things, run away from them because they're just going to suck a lot of energy away from you and you're not going to get a sale. And a lot of you, when you see this list, you're going to go, oh yeah, I've had a few of these devils, because we all have, okay? So here's the characteristics of devils. They immediately see your product as a commodity. They always ask first, what's the price, right? They don't let you do anything because they absolutely have to know the price. They are very critical and negative, okay? They shop the competition quite a bit. You ever lost a sale to one of your competitors and you knew the product was inferior, but guess what? They just had to get a better deal because they said your product was way too expensive and they just didn't get the value? That's a devil. Don't hang out with those people, okay? There's plenty of people in this world. Find the angels, you know, attract the angels, repel the devils, okay? They're very hard to please, okay? They demand a lot for a very little. Okay, I know a lot of you guys, like in King of Water, you deliver water, right? They keep demanding deliver water, right? And then when you decide to cut them off, then they disappear, right? Devil, repel the devil. They make excuses and they complain a lot. Okay, these are all. If you guys are laughing because you go, oh yeah, I've had some of these. We all have. These are not fun people to do business with. Okay, and they just suck your energy out of you. So you want to repel the devils. What you want to do is attract the angels. And you've had people like this. So you want to find more of these type of people. They're passionate about your product. They express gratitude for you. You ever had someone go, you know what? I am so grateful that you showed up in my life and showed me this product. This is like the best thing ever. You ever had, some of you guys probably are, shaking your head. Yes. And if you have, go ahead and put that in chat. Say, yeah, I've had some angels, because you know them when you see them. We want more of those people. They're excited they met you. They listen intently to your stories. They want to tell your story to everyone. Okay. So when, they tell their friends and neighbors, like you show up like on their doorstep next time delivering water, and they have their brother and sister there going, I told them all about this water, and they're really excited. They want to try it too, right? These are angels. You guys know you've had these people, right? They sell themselves in your product. In other words, you are creating the discovery process of buying. They're selling themselves. It's a very easy process when you become Ben Kenobi and Yoda, okay? And they aren't typically priced first, okay? So this is who you want to look for. This is who you want to attract. And I'm going to help you. There's some questions you're going to answer in your homework to attract these angels, okay? So the question I have to ask you is, who would you rather attract into your business, angels or devils? Now, I'll tell you one thing. I really don't like to work with devils, and I try to get rid of them as quickly as possible. And I've gotten pretty good at quickly identifying a devil and telling them very shortly that, walking away saying, you know what, my product or service is not for you. I just think you need to look elsewhere. So, it's okay to turn away people, because in the end, they're just going to waste your time. And those people typically, by and large, do not have high sales conversion rates. So you want to go after those angels, okay? Now that you know what a devil and angel looks like, it's time to identify your angels. Now, you need to be crystal clear about who you want to attract and who you want to repel. So, and then you want to tell those angels your stories. The best stories, and I'm going to give you the questions you need to answer. This is the hard work, the heavy lifting, to really identify a first group of angels that you want to go after. Because I want to tell you, you're going to have many angels that in your business, depending on their core desire and their category. So if you guys like in King and Water, a lot of you're going to be looking at that as in terms of health condition and what they want, what their core desire is, right? But in this whole thing, the best stories agree with, connect, and speak to the pre-existing core desires of your angels. If you connect with that inner dialogue and you quell those core doubts and fears, you're going to come back on the better side of the discovery process for them to buy, okay? So this isn't a one-size-fits-all, like I said, because one particular story appeals to only one segment of your customers who participate in that inner dialogue. So, for example, if you have someone who has diabetes versus high cholesterol, that's a totally different thing. If you have someone who is interested in speaking to, doing coaching and speaking to contractors versus doing chakra training, totally different thing, right? So in your business, you're more likely to have multiple angels, each with their own inner dialogue and their own core desires. So remember, this is not a one-size-fits-all. You're going to start this week by picking a particular group and answering those questions to identify that angel group, that angel set, okay? But you're going to have multiple angels that you want to attract that will buy your product, service, or opportunity. So I hope, if that's not clear, guys, put that in chat, because I want to make sure that you're really, really clear on that, okay? All right. So I'm going to give you now the 7 key questions you need to answer to uncover your angel avatars, okay? Here's the 7. We're going to go over them, and this will be your homework for this week. Question number 1 is, what are your avatar's biggest core desires? Now, to answer this question, you got to remember you're working, like I said, with a category and a condition, okay? So remember the top 10 core desire categories. And remember, guys, you can go into the story selling membership site. You can review this webinar, go back again if before you do your homework. That's fine. If you want to watch it one more time, it's in there. So it's all there. for you to review over and over again. But the top 10 core desires, like I said, go from liberty down to creativity. You got to identify their top core desire category. Then you'll need to determine the condition for the core desire. So you want to ask the question as it relates to whatever their condition is. Your diabetes, your high cholesterol, your acid reflux, you're wanting to get back into energy balance, you're wanting to relieve pain in your shoulder from massage, you're wanting to be represented in a DUI if you're an attorney, okay? Because I know we have an attorney or two on here, right? So if I were to ask you to finish this sentence, if I could just, what would you say? Okay? However they finish that sentence is the key to their core desire. Okay, so that's how you determine. You first have to determine what is their core desire. Okay, it's question number 2. What are your avatar's doubts and fears? Okay, then they typically are in the form of what if questions. Here's some examples. Well, what if this this product I tried, it doesn't work? What if I fail in? What if my family thinks I'm nuts? What if I get a complication in from using this product or service? These are all the doubts. These are all the what ifs, right? So you gotta address their doubts and fears. You got to write them down. You got to know what those are, okay? Because you got to address them in these stories that are upcoming that you're going to be doing in the next 5 weeks, okay? This is the other half of the inner dialogue equation. And I'm telling you, that inner dialogue, right, is the battle between core doubt and core desire. You go through it, I go through it, your prospects are going through it when they're going through looking at your product, service, or opportunity. That is the discovery process they have to go through to have their core desire vanquish their core doubts so that they will seize your elixir and buy your product. That's what this whole course is about, by telling stories, okay? So question number 3, what is your avatar's greatest opportunity? Okay. And now you want to connect this with your product or service. It may be their greatest opportunity is to become financially independent in the next 5 years by working with you on your team. It may be their greatest opportunity is to be able to beat their diabetes. It depends on, what you're going to write down, but you have to understand for that particular angel avatar set, what is your avatar's greatest opportunity? Question number 4, what is most important to your avatar? Now, typically, what's most important has an emotional connection. That's what makes it different from question 3. What is your avatar's greatest opportunity? So by using your product or service, what are they going to get as a result? That's really that one. This one is, what is the emotional connection they're going to have with your product, service, or opportunity? So here's an example. It might be, I'll just throw one out. John has high cholesterol, and the most important thing to him is that he's able to get his cholesterol back to a level that's normal, because he's afraid he's going to have a heart attack. And if he has a heart attack, he might die, and he'll never get to see his grandkids grow up and see them graduate, get married, have kids of their own. And that would make him really sad. You see, this is a strong emotional connection. That's what's most important to that avatar. That's how you answer that question number 4. Question number 5, what are the behaviors that show that they have or don't have what they want? Well, a behavior like for a diabetic, he's shooting insulin in his arm all the time. That's a behavior that they don't have what they want, right? So you got to look at that and say, what are the behaviors that show they have or don't have what they want? If they're a business builder and they want financial independence and they're driving a broken down Pinto, that's a behavior that shows they don't have what they want. They may have the desire and ability to be trained by you, but they don't have financial independence now, and it's indicative of a sign like that, a behavior. They're driving around an old broken down car, okay? So that's question 5. Question 6 is, how will your product or service positively impact their life now, 5 years from now, and 10 years? You got to help them understand, if they buy your product, service, or opportunity, how is it going to change their life and positively impact it? What is that ripple effect right now, 5 years from now, and 10 years from now? You got to get that very, very clear, because that's going to help you when you're defining that key group of people that you want to go after. Okay, and you're telling these stories to. Question number 7, the final question is, what will it cost them by not getting your product or service now, 5 years from now or 10 years from now. So you guys that are in health, like in King and Water, you could say, well, what's it going to cost them if they get a disease or if they get cancer, or if they keep drinking bottled water, the cost of that per month. Or if you're doing something like we have a contractor here, what is it going to cost that person by not doing their bathroom model now and letting that mold and rot grow inside their wall now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And it's not just the fact that the wall is going to rot away. It may be that it's going to grow black mold and it's going to affect their health negatively and their family. Okay. And now they have to go to the hospital and they're going to have to be treated for them to the tune of thousands of dollars. Okay. So again, you got to look at that. What is it going to cost them by not getting your product or service, and write it down? These are things, this is not something you look at the questions and answer them in your head. What you want to do is you got to write these down and get them very clear in your own mind through writing. Now, if you're struggling, you can get clarity by surveying your customers. Now, if you want to do that, if you have customers in your business, you can use tools online like surveymonkey.com or wufoo.com and put together a survey and have them answer these questions for you. If you have a bunch of customers, send it out. If you get 15 or 20 responses, you're going to start getting some idea of who your angel avatar is. If it's offline, pick 10 customers, call them up, ask them these questions, and then take notes. Okay. I used to do this all the time. I had a really large franchise business at one time. This is how I found out who my angel avatars were. I didn't do the online. I just picked up the phone and called. Like every month I'd call 5 or 10 customers and ask them these questions so I could really understand what it is that drives these guys. And I could use it in my storytelling and my marketing and my messaging. Okay. So you can do the same exact thing. Now, here's your example. Here's your homework. This is in the membership site. And again, just to make sure, there was a couple people. Let's see. I think, Mark, you said you didn't get your link and password. So, Mark, I did send it to you. I will resend it again, but I would check your spam because I sent it out to every single person. But you guys always check both your inbox and your spam because I am sending out the emails, but I will resend it to you. I think everybody else, if you didn't get it, let me know. Some people in here are saying, yep, I've had angels. Beverly Smith said she had angels. Kelly says, I love my angels, and yes, I want more. Russell says, yes, I have. Beverly says, yes, I have. Another Beverly. John, what a treat. It's just like, guys, when you have angels, they're like, oh my God, I want 100 more of these people. And that's who you want to attract. Okay. So this will be your homework, is answering. And again, it is in the Story Selling membership site. If you had trouble, you did not get your link and your login and password, please let me know. You can email me, and I'm going to give you that right now. When we come up to next week, I'll give you my email address, and I will send out your link again with your login and password. The homework is in there. You'll see it. It looks like this. It's got a PDF, and it has it right below the webinar video. Okay, so all you have to do is do a right click on that, and then you go ahead and do a save as, and then you can print it out, and you have this sheet here that has your homework for this week. So we're going to start a little slow this week. These are hard questions to answer, but we'll pick up as we go, as you get into the flow of all of this over the next coming week. So up next week, we're going to be doing the Sales Magnet story. That is a story about someone like them. So once you've identified your angel and one of the angel avatars, you're going to create a Sales Magnet story for a person like them. Okay. If you have someone like them that you have already helped and serviced, write a story about that. If you don't, make it up. It's okay. The whole idea is to start thinking and communicating and writing in terms of stories. Okay. That's the point of this workshop, is getting really good at writing, creating, and telling stories on the fly, because you love them. I love them. Everyone loves stories. Okay. So here's what's required. Number one, and that's the other thing too, is every week I'm going to send out a link to a survey for this week's module. I'd like you to fill out the survey. It's going to take you about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Please do that for me, because here's why. Okay. Some of the people last time did it, some did not. The people did not get their surveys filled out, did not get their voices heard. That group, I did and I'm going to do for you. I'm surprising you right now. And after we're all done with this in week 7, I'm going to do a follow-up Q&A, and you can ask all the questions you want, and I'm going to address all the comments and questions in the surveys that come through. So if you don't fill them out, you don't get your voice heard. I won't be answering that on the surprise bonus Q&A, okay? So again, it's important to fill out the survey. So make sure, I'm going to send the link out tomorrow. Fill out for this week, the survey for this particular lesson of what you learned, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want more of, more questions you have. There'll be some things in there and you can fill it out. And then number 2, guys, you got an email from me who your team partner is, okay? So if you didn't get that, again, send me an email to crocbrand@gmail.com. I will resend it out. But there's only one group that has 3. Everybody else has 2. Now, Kelly, I know you're on here. The person that's assigned to you, you got that email. You guys are going to have to Skype because I think your partner's in the U.S. and you're in New Zealand. But you guys can figure that out. You'd use technology. But you have a team partner, and use that team partner. Send your assigned homework, and you team partners hold each other accountable to get your homework done, and then send your partner the homework for a review. So you're working back and forth in your own small community, okay? So you have your team partner that you're going to get to know and use. You could swap phone numbers so you guys can call each other. You can use Skype. You can use email. You can use Facebook messaging, whatever you want to do, but use your team partner to help you review and critique and get input, okay? So guys, with that, what we're going to do is I'm going to just take a couple minutes. That's the end of week 1, Finding Your Heroes. It gives you kind of a whole overview of the 6-week course. We went through the power of the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell and how it applies to sales. And again, if it's still a little cloudy, don't worry. It's going to get crystal clear as we go through these 6 weeks. I'm going to be answering any questions you have. So for right now, if you have any questions, we'll go for another 5 minutes or so. I just want to make sure everybody's clear. So if you have a question, go ahead, write it in the chat. That will be your place to interact with me here on these webinars that are live. And I'll answer some questions here for a few minutes before we jump off. But I hope you are now really, guys, seeing the power of storytelling in that discovery process of buying, and why I call this the story selling blueprint formula, because you're going to see now, just like the 7 questions for the Angel Avatar, you are going to have a formula for every single story you create and how to write these. And the good thing is once you get good at this, it's not hard. This is not rocket science. You're going to be able to carry this stuff in your head and start creating these stories on the fly based on experience you have with previous customers, okay? So I hope you see how powerful this really is, okay? So again, if there's any questions, I'll wait for another minute or so. No one's writing in any questions, so I'm assuming everything is crystal clear to you. So next week, again, we will be on Thursday, and that will be Thursday the 22nd. Make sure you put that in your calendar now so you don't forget, because these live ones are really the powerful one where you get to hear me live. I just think it's way better than a recording, and you can also ask me any questions that you couldn't. I understand sometimes if you can't make it due to family or whatever situations, but live is the best. It's the 22nd. It is going to be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in the United States, every Thursday night. So mark that on your calendar. So you have that. So we had one question. Kelly said, will you be sending this recording out to all of us that were on here live? The recording will be in the Story Selling membership site. So Kelly, you have a link, you have a login and password. This exact webinar is in there, and you'll be able to listen to it as many times as you want. It's unlimited lifetime in there. The homework sheets, the audio files, everything is in there. So I invite you guys to go take a look inside there. That is your resource to have throughout this course. And after the course is over, where you can go back in and you can review and continue to grow your story selling arsenal. Okay. So Kelly, I hope that answers your question there on that. So if there's no other questions, guys, we're at 10:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are at 7:22 here Pacific Time. Guys, I really am excited to have you go through this course. I'm excited that you came on. We had a lot of people that jumped in. The key thing is, will you be on here 4 weeks from now? You know, typically a lot of these courses, people drop off. I hope you stay. I hope you continue to really work on this. This is going to propel your business in 2015. I don't know if you saw some of the testimonials from the previous students when you signed up for this course, but these are life-changing things. And again, guys, I'm teaching you things, but the person that's doing the real work and the life-changing is not me, it's you. You're doing the homework, you're doing the transformation, you're seeing how easy this process of selling is, because it really is the discovery process of buying. So again, guys, any questions, go ahead and send them to me at crocbrain@gmail.com. You see it right down there. And yeah, Kelly says 4:22 p.m. Friday, New Zealand time. Yeah, you're actually a day ahead. I get it, because I've been to Australia and New Zealand, very pretty countries. But again, guys, with that, have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next week. Any questions, send to me at CrocBrain. If you did not, Mark, I'll resend you your link and things here when I get off the call. Anybody else, if you did not get your story selling membership link and login information, just email me and I will get that to you. So with that, guys, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you again this next Thursday. Bye-bye.